Well, this wasn't the video that I was going to share today. However, we definitely need to address this. Folks, just yesterday, some breaking news would essentially break the internet, being shared by the likes of one of the most controversial individuals on the internet, Charleston White, in relation to Karmelo Anthony, the young man who killed Austin Metcalf at some sort of a Texas high school track meet. And the information that I first began to see in relation to Charleston White addressing the Karmelo Anthony case was him apologizing to the family, saying that he had it all wrong and that he now sides with Karmelo Anthony, feeling like he will be found not guilty of the first-degree murder charge that he is currently facing. Folks, this is a drastic U-turn from anything that Charleston White has said in relation to the Karmelo Anthony case, because prior to this, I'm sure he was talking quite a bit of shit about Karmelo Anthony, as he does about a lot of other sensitive topics. But again, he's recanted any previous statements made in relation to this, saying that he now believes Karmelo Anthony will be found innocent. Folks, there is some videos that we're going to look at here today. I want to share these with you because it's interesting to me that Charleston White, of all people, is sharing on the internet information in relation to this case that has never before been heard. Why Charleston White is one question that comes to mind first in relation to this. Is it because of the fact that he has the platform and the following to be able to do so? Who reached out to who in this situation? Was it Charleston White reaching out to Karmelo Anthony's team? Or the other way around? Let's keep in mind that Karmelo Anthony's team and himself are certainly not seen in a favorable light. Even less favorable lately, given the fact that just recently making the news after being indicted on that first-degree murder charge is the fact that they filed paperwork claiming indigent status, meaning that they're broke, so that they could retain the likes of a public defender. A public defender is who you're given when you can't afford legal representation. Part of the Miranda rights that they read you. And if you cannot afford a lawyer, one will be appointed to you. Isn't there a Give, Send, Go campaign that's raised over $540,000? Has all of that money been spent on lavish living and expensive vehicles? I also want to say this as I begin here. I am not here to pick a side. I can't do that, because I don't have evidence to prove one way or another. I want to harp on 2 points that I've made previous in the 2 different times that I've talked about this case. The first being, I hate how racially divided this story has intensified things in this country, basically being more fuel for the fire. Now, granted, everything in this country is just racist. It's just another reason for people to hate other people. And I hate that. I really do. I don't come at this situation from any type of a racist bias, and I certainly am not going to sit here and say that I think one way or another in relation to this case when I don't know. Allegedly, there's video evidence that nobody has seen, maybe only a select few have seen. I find that to be highly suspicious, any which way that you look at it, good or bad, as to why any potential video evidence that exists has not been released yet. But I do find it a bit damning that a grand jury did indict Karmelo Anthony on a first-degree murder charge. Prosecution has to take any evidence that they have to a grand jury for them to hand down that indictment. By that indictment being handed down, sounds to me like there could be enough evidence to convict this guy of first-degree murder. But I could be wrong in relation to that. One other thing, the family spokesperson, who I believe is Dominique Alexander, had said that they're not going to release any information about this. They're going to let this case play out in a court of law, and they're not going to let this play out in the court of public opinion. However, I find that to be not the case at all by bringing in the likes of Charleston White. Are we trying to change the narrative here to get it away from the fact that this family is claiming broke and they need a public defender even though they've raised $540,000? Maybe let's put out some different information to try to change the tide here. I wonder how much Charleston White charged this family. You know, I've heard that this guy charges like $10,000 just to appear for a podcast. So make no mistake, I don't believe this guy is doing any of what he's done for free. I don't personally have anything against Charleston White, certainly don't agree with much of what he says. I want to make that particular statement as well before we get into this, and brace yourselves for what we're getting ready to get into, folks, because it is definitely going to trigger some folks. Charleston White apologizes to Karmelo Anthony after meeting his family, claims he'll beat all charges. I was all the way wrong about that kid. What?
Man, I was all the way wrong about that kid.
What?
I was all the way wrong about that kid, homie.
Yeah, he was just indicted.
I was all the way wrong about that kid. I met with his father. I've been meeting with his father regularly. I had opportunity to talk, piece him up. He go beat these charges. I was under the impression that he brought a knife to school. So I'm taking a knife to school. Fuck him. He didn't take a knife to school. He didn't even know these two white boys. These two white boys just came over there with him because he was with another kid that knew those white boys. So he a new black kid who these big old white boys, big white boys. He a small frame kid. One of the white boys was on that side. One of the white boys on that side. So either way go, they had him blocked in. And these some big white boys. These are some big, violent, aggressive white boys who got guns. And not only that, the one he killed whooped their daddy. See, the daddy coming into the picture playing like he been around. The dad ain't been around. We would think the black dad ain't around. The white dad ain't around. The mother don't even identify the daddy as the husband. So he must have been an abusive father. He ain't even been in their life. So he just come.
Got to jump in here because we are already off to a frantic start right here. First, keep in mind, he just said Karmelo Anthony did not bring a knife to school. We're going to look at another video from this same interview where he says that he did, but it wasn't a knife, but it was a knife. He also said that those Metcalf boys, the white boys, had guns and that Austin Metcalf had beat his daddy and that Austin Metcalf's father was not around and that the mother doesn't even identify the father as a husband. So because of that, he must have been abusive. This is a lot of stuff to be putting out there. And it's seeming like all of this information has been gained from just a conversation that he has had, Charleston White has had with the father of Karmelo Anthony. I'm not hearing anything about any video evidence though.
He just come and get in the light. So he a low down dirty cracker. His sons are bullies. They bullying on the kid. No, because he black. Get from up under the tent. Man, y'all tripping. I ain't going nowhere. And they got a reputation of beating up people. The one he had to stab, he broke his daddy's ligaments. Big old strong cracker. He should have killed both of them.
Whoa.
He should have killed both them Peckerwoods. With a that's minding his motherfucking business, that don't bring harm to nobody. This kid ain't a bad kid. These bully white boys just fuck with the black baby.
The black baby?
So now they trying to make it about race. No, it ain't about race.
He said, so now they're trying to make it about race? No, it ain't about race. All I've heard in this is Cracker Peckerwood white boys, black baby. But it ain't about race. See, I try to respect Charleston White, but I really get annoyed. And this is what he does. This is his claim to fame, playing the bad guy on the internet. Man, what if this is all for clicks? I have to be devil's advocate here. All this information that he's putting out there is what's been relayed to him from the father, so far as I've heard. Is there any other source of information that you're getting this from? You said that Karmelo Anthony was under the tent and Austin Metcalf and his brother said, get from out from under the tent. And he said, nah, I'm not going anywhere. That's why you took this young man's life? Is because he told you to get out from under the tent? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, because what it sounds like is this dude ain't doing no favors to the case. A case that we wanted to keep quiet and under wraps until trial. But yet all of a sudden we've brought in the most vocal person who's only going to steer this narrative even further. I mean, you're stirring this race pot, race baiting pot to the fullest with this type of shit. But that's what this guy does.
Justice was served when he killed that cracker.
Cracker.
Self-defense. And the reason I say that is anybody can go see the video. Why do you think the media outlets ain't promoting to go see this video? You can go up to the school to see it. And if you go up to the school and see it, we all to see this kid will be found not guilty. But because it's in an all-white town in Crackerville and they done made it about race, whoever Sarah Fields is, Sarah Fields, you a rotten motherfucker. I want to take the time to apologize to
All White Town, Sarah Fields, whoever that is. He says you can go right up to the school to see this video evidence. Why hasn't the news done so? That is an interesting statement if there's any truth to it. Maybe Charleston White has seen whatever video there may be. But I don't believe this. I just can't. And again, just looking at this as an outsider looking in from a completely neutral standpoint. You've already contradicted yourself saying that he didn't bring a knife to school. In the next video that we're about to watch, he's going to talk about the knife. Allegedly, it was a Swiss Army knife. Wasn't there talk about this being a cleat sharpener at one point? Is there a cleat sharpener on a Swiss Army knife? Actually, there is, because there's a file. Keep that in mind. But he also says that anybody can go and see this video evidence. That's the second contradiction that I feel in this, because I believe that if that was the case, this footage would already be out there. I'm not seeing any footage out there for the public to be able to see. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there is some footage. If you've seen the footage, please comment down below. Let me know where I can go see this at. If the video showed that Karmelo was guilty, trust me, it would have been released. That's an interesting statement right there. Charleston White says Austin Metcalf is white people's George Floyd. What? And he changed his mind about Karmelo Anthony after looking at the evidence, folks. I've already seen this video. I'm going to let you know right now. Prepare yourself for some hot takes that you may not have heard before this.
It was George Floyd, by the way.
Say this again.
Austin Metcalf is white people's George Floyd. He really died of a fentanyl overdose because the autopsy said he had fentanyl in his system. Steroid use. He was just cycling off because he's off of football, but during football season, Austin is steroid nut buddies. His dad said they excelled in every sport. So with their physical abilities and capabilities and strength, based on what they teach you in the license to carry classes, the CHL gun classes, anybody bigger than you can boom, 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 boom. Body size is a form of a weapon under the law. They were two extremely big guys who were, nigga, go in the bedroom with your sister and your girl then. There are two bigger guys who are trained and skilled in mixed martial arts jiu-jitsu that can severely hurt you and kill you. Steroids, fentanyl, anger issues, abusive dad. You bring that trauma to school with you. You take it out on the football field, but you have a reputation of bullying people from, I think, about the 4th grade, these Austin twin brothers. So you can't just fight one, you have to fight two. That's why this is a package deal. So 2 men approach you, bigger than size. You mean to tell me you don't have the right to defend yourself? This is a George Floyd. The autopsy said he has fentanyl in the system. So another lie that they said, he brought the knife to school. He didn't have a knife. He had a Boy Scouts aid tool. Well, what's on that tool? They have 12 different components. You lift this one up, it may be a bottle opener. You lift this one up, it may be a screwdriver. And they're about this small. They're smaller than 3 inches. It was so small, you don't even see it when they take the picture next to the body because it laid next to the body right by the backpack. Sarah Fields. Oh, they didn't know a nigga can do due diligence works like this. Oh, they didn't know a nigga can do it due diligence. I went to Texas Western. They taught me how to research. They taught me how to go into the library databases and pull up other articles and things like that and go get the court page. I know how to do what you do, Sarah.
He mentions this Sarah Fields person again, which, if you know who this is, definitely comment down below because I have no idea. So he said that this was a Boy Scouts aid tool that he brought. Sounds like a Swiss Army knife to me. It's got a bottle opener on it. Nothing's any bigger than 3 inches. He said that the weapon lied next to the body. It was so small you couldn't even see it. He says that he didn't bring a knife to school, but he brought a Swiss Army knife to school. In fact, I think that that's why he refers to this as a Boy Scouts aid tool instead of a Swiss Army knife. You said that he didn't bring the knife to school, but that he did bring the knife to school. And that he didn't die from the knife penetrating his heart. He died from fentanyl? I don't know if we've gotten to that point just yet, but let's continue with this.
I just play a ignorant nigga online because it pays much more than what you make. I get 10,000 interviews, so I pay a crazy nigga.
He says that he plays an ignorant individual online because it pays well. Hear what he just said right there, aside from that foolishness. He said that he gets $10,000 a mumble jumble, whatever he said after that. Yo, I wonder if Charleston White is using. But he does seem a little more off the rails than normally.
So he didn't have a knife. It was a Boy Scout tool that most white people give their elementary kids. You lift it this way, you lift it this way, about 12 items on there. A knife just so happens to be on there. I think even a fingernail file is on there.
Boy, you see how quickly this conniving son of a gun breezed right past knife. A knife just so happened to be on there. I think a fingernail file did as well. Maybe it was that fingernail file that they're referring to as the cleat sharpener.
The knife was so small, it did not penetrate his heart. It was too small. It was a little small knife. They're not telling us this. And they tricked me, and they had me going against a good kid. They really had me going against a good kid, so I'm fucked up about this, my white Republican friends. I'm fucked up. This is what the Democrats did to the poor niggas with the rappers, and come on, y'all are doing to, come on, you're gonna do what the Democrats are doing to the blacks. Just give us the truth. We're smart enough conservative. And by the way, my voting record is all conservative.
Race baiting, politic baiting. Talking about the knife was only this big. But he didn't have a knife. But he did have a knife. A Boy Scouts aid tool. A Swiss Army knife. So he did have a knife. And I think that it did have a knife, but it also had a file. Gosh almighty, man. You got to really read between the lines of what's going on here. This is an agenda and a narrative that has definitely been paid and sponsored. Buddy might as well have said, and real quick before we get into this video is sponsored by Give, Send, Go, Karmelo Anthony. I mean, that's the way that I'm reading this. Maybe I've got this all wrong. I don't know what to make of all of this. I really don't. I definitely feel like we are trying to turn the tide here. And maybe that's what you got to do. But I mean, keep this in mind. Maybe there's got to be some truth to this. Because to think of everything that's going to be on the mind of the jury, of the judge, of the prosecution going into this trial, you've got to know that if they get the opportunity to see the shit that this guy is spewing, the negative, race baiting, politic baiting, diabolical comparisons, do you think this actually helps Karmelo Anthony's case or potentially hurts it? And you also got to keep in mind the source of this information being shared. Here's a guy that switched up quick. Now, granted, he said he met with the father, and after talking with him a few different times, he realized Karmelo Anthony was a good kid, and that Austin Metcalf, or should I refer to him as Fentanyl Metcalf, you didn't hear it in these two videos that I shared with you, but there's definitely mention of that nickname given to the victim by Charleston White. You got to keep in mind the source of this information. And what's the motives here? What motives would Charleston White have for coming on the internet this strong? I mean, he's really not doing anything outside of the norm of what he normally does. Triggers, race baits, loves to jump on the most controversial bandwagons possible. Does this guy actually have the best interest of Karmelo Anthony at heart? Or is potentially this just another publicity stunt and an attempt to remain relevant? But again, I ask all of you, do you think that what this guy is doing here is going to help the Karmelo Anthony case at all? I will be so curious personally to see how things unravel when this goes to trial. And for the sake of all things shared here today, I certainly hope there's some truth to what this man has just put out on the internet. Because like I said, the internet is forever. But only time will tell. Folks, I just wanted to bring this to you guys and share my piece on this. You let me know what you think. And if you found some interest in this video, please leave a like and a comment on this, letting me know. Hey, if you find yourself new here on After Prison Show, enjoying this content, but not yet subscribed to this channel, please consider doing so and turning on bell notifications so that you never miss an upload from us. It would certainly be appreciated and go a long ways to helping to support this channel. As always, until next time, enjoy life, the free world, never take a moment for granted, and make the most of every day. Peace.